Heather.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I'm good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. That's a lot of paint back there. I love it.
I have a good stash.
Yeah, it is a good stash. And that Prince painting, that's nice. He's
Oh,
gonna,
that one's not even mine, but I have a crush on Prince.
yeah,
So
he's watching me. He's gonna make sure that I'm doing everything okay.
exactly.
He has that look on his face. So it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And you even have purple on too. So you got the
Yeah.
whole Prince thing down.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. I'm channeling him.
That's right. So where are you located?
I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina. I always hear, I had a friend that lived there for a while, and he said it was always green. He always talked about how green it was.
It is pretty awesome. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. Like the weather's always nice. The people are pretty nice. There's a lot of green still, so you can get outside, get fresh air.
Yeah.
It's a great area to live in.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for taking a minute out. I want to begin our conversation with what we've lived through for the last 3.5 years or so with COVID. How did you get through the pandemic and how did it change you?
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's a great question. So about 5 months before everything shut down, I actually left my full-time job as an HR manager. So I was newly entrepreneurial. I was kind of diving into my art business right at the start of COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that that happened when it did because my son was home. He was in first grade going into second. And I really had to kind of pivot into running an art business and then homeschooling him through the computer to get him
Yeah.
like through the rest of the school year. I feel like COVID changed a lot of us in some ways, I think for the better, because it allowed us new ways to communicate with each other and to find different ways to help each other. And at the start of the pandemic, I did pretty well in terms of art sales. I think people were home looking around at their spaces thinking, wow, I should do something different here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of nice. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do for a living now. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. And one
Uh,
of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
oh my gosh. Okay. So first I would say, close your eyes and picture a red apple. And in your mind, you see that apple and the color red. Well, when I hear something, see something, smell something, taste something, I'm always seeing a color in my mind. And then I paint what I see and tell a story about it.
Okay. All right. So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream to grow up and become?
I really did want to be an artist. I kind of
Okay.
wanted to be a punk rocker too.
Yeah.
In the 80s, I wanted to be a musician
Uh-huh.
and do creative things. And I was always sketching and drawing and kind of dabbling in different creative hobbies. So I really do think that I started out wanting to pursue where I am. It just took me 40 plus years to get there.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a while. Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
the idea is I have a teenage daughter at home, and I always tell her, no matter how much the world may be difficult to deal with, the only thing that you really have is your dream, and that's you. No one can
Mhm.
take that away, and that's for you to protect and to watch it grow.
I love that. That's
Yeah,
great that you share that. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
help
it's
cultivate that.
it's a good thing. So let's go back to where you were born and raised
Uh-huh.
and how these seeds of creativity and even HR, how did all of this happen to become who you are today?
Oh my gosh. So I was born in Germany. My dad was in the army, so I was an American born abroad. And I had that like military child upbringing where we moved every couple of years or so. And I always thought that gave me a lot of character. That helped me really kind of figure out how to adapt to a lot of things. I was super creative. I was the first person in my family to go to college. And then after that, my sister and my mom followed suit too, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then I kind of, had that conversation where it was like, are you sure you want to do art? Because you'll never make any money doing art. And so I kind of set about on the path to pursue human resources and did that for about 15 years or so. And it was great. I learned a lot. I think that the universe does a really great way of setting you up to be exactly where you need to be.
Hmm.
And by giving you the tools and experiences that you need to help you when you figure out where you're going. So I think for the last couple of years before I left corporate, I was searching for something. I was trying all these different certifications and all different kinds of things, trying to figure out like, what do I want to do? Because HR was great and I worked for a great company, but I just felt this kind of like tiredness in myself that no amount of sleep or vacation was going to fix.
Yeah.
And then I worked with a spiritual teacher who said, if you really think about what you liked when you were a kid. What was it? And I was like, oh, it was art. And she said, your gifts show up when you're young. And so, explore that, feel your way into it. And so I went and bought art supplies and started painting. And within a year, I had my first show.
Wow.
So it was kind of like the universe was waiting for me to decide to pursue that path. And once I started moving in that direction, it was like everything started to support that. And now, as a business owner and an artist, I'm so thankful for all that time I spent in corporate because it taught me so much about how to manage things and how to, be responsive and follow up and, simple things like sending invoices and creating documents and all the admin side of things. It
Yeah.
helped me a ton. So I'm really grateful for what I've experienced that's helped me to where I am today.
What's been your favorite art gallery you visited?
There is locally the North Carolina Museum of Art. So I try to pop over there when I need some inspiration. And there's a piece there that I love called Two Figures by Robert Motherwell. And so I'll just kind of go and spend some time with that piece when I need a little inspiration. But I'd love to get out and explore more galleries for sure.
What would be a dream gallery or painting for you to see?
I lived up in the New York area for a long time, but I never got to visit the Guggenheim. So
Yeah.
I think that when I see it in pictures, I'm like, "Oh, why didn't I ever go in there?"
Yeah,
I wish I had.
we got a new wing in Kansas City on the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art, and a lot of stuff came from the Guggenheim, a lot of modern art. So it's kind of cool.
That's
We're getting
awesome.
some transplants. So who's been a hero for you in your life?
I think that a lot of the women who are part of my spiritual community are the heroes that I kind of see on my day to day basis. I think we've all gone through so many unique experiences in our lives and made so many different changes that have helped us along that personal, that sense of personal growth or personal power, or trying to get into the most authentic aspect of themselves. This group of women are just this community of grace that helps support all of us, lifts us up, and encourages us, and sometimes kicks us in the butt when we're not doing what we should be doing. But I look at that group and I think I'm so thankful that they're in my life because they really are like the embodiment of good people and
Yeah.
just beautiful spirits. And I love them so much.
So if you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now and spend some time with them, who would it be?
Do they have to be alive?
Yeah, see, I know where we're going. No,
Well,
let's open it up. Yeah, let's open it up.
The one person that I really, really would love to meet is Freddie Mercury.
Mm,
I think that, even seeing that movie, Bohemian Rhapsody, when it came out a couple of years ago, I left that theater so inspired by his
yeah,
story and his music and his creativity. And I think he lived at a time when people weren't really accepting or open or just really, letting him be who he wanted to be. And I value his experience so much, and I just think he's probably one of the most authentically, unapologetically himself, and I would just love to spend some time and get into his brain and ask him lots of questions.
so that day that he did the Live Aid performance, I didn't know this. We got married on July 13th, my wife and I found out after the fact that that was the day. So I always remember that it was July 13th. That was the day.
Awesome.
So,
That's so cool.
and I was just remembering too, Prince. I was thinking, what I did an interview with a band that was going to Oklahoma. It was called Victor and Penny. And I just found out about Prince passing away, and they were all in the van. They were all excited. They were getting ready to go. And I was like, I mean, because when it happened, it was like it was meteoric. I mean, it
Yeah.
just spread. So I just thought they knew. I said, "Do you guys hear what happened?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I told them. So that day, I made a commitment. I will never, ever, no matter who it is or what it is, I will never tell anybody that someone died. I will never do it again. That was the most,
Oh,
that was the worst feeling in the world because they were all just like, what? I was like,
crushed.
no, I didn't want to be the
Oh,
guy. I just thought we were going to have a conversation about Prince. And then it was like, so I'm like, I'm out. I'm retiring. I'm not doing that anymore. So,
oh no.
but so let me ask you this. You obviously have a lot of motivation and drive in you, being, having your own business. sidestepping out of one gig into another, what is the daily motivation for you to get up every day, to create work, to make this business, and to make it run the way you want it to be run?
Hmm. I think I have this deep-seated worry that I will disappoint God or the universe by not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I take my spirituality very seriously, and it kind of, filters out through everything that I do. So waking up in the morning and getting to do what I do is such a gift to me because I never imagined that it would be possible. Like going back to that 6 or 7 year old me with a sketchbook and crayons, who then pivoted to, working in corporate and then getting the opportunity to leave corporate, because that's a privileged place to be able to leave something like that to pursue your passion. That to me, I'm just so thankful for that opportunity, and I want to just wake up every day and be of service in some way. And I think that that's why I paint, is to be of service, and why I kind of connect to spiritual people and spiritual experiences and my own spirituality so deeply, is to find a way to use my gifts in service of other people.
So, what was the first painting that you did where you thought, wow, this is having a profound impact, whether it's on you or another person? When did you feel like, man, this is something I should do? I've arrived.
Yeah. When I initially started painting, I kind of turned the garage into my studio for a little bit. There's still some paint splatters on the ground there. But I was working on a piece for a friend of mine, and I had actually taken the day off and said, I'm going to just paint all day. I'm going to see what this is like. And I worked on a piece, and I knew that it was for her. I had picked a couple colors for her. I intuit colors and I see colors through my synesthesia. And for her, I saw light blue, peach, and white. And when I got the colors on the canvas, I immediately started to cry. And I felt like there was something about this piece or the colors for her that were going to be healing or therapeutic. And she pulled up to drop something off to me, and she said, I don't know what happened, but the minute I started driving over here, I just started crying. And what is this about? And I showed her her painting, and she was like, oh my God, that's for me. This is for me. And there were messages, of healing that were coming through in the painting for her. And then I felt like, okay, there's something here. There's really something that I'm able to connect people and color and what they mean and how they heal. And that was such affirmation for me that I felt like, okay, I'm going to do this. I don't know how,
Yeah.
but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So, what's the best advice you've ever gotten in life?
Move.
Yeah. There you go.
Move. I think that one of the things that I'm proud of myself for is that I really don't get analysis paralysis. I would rather take imperfect action than to stand still. And so, my spiritual teacher Myrna says, "Move." Just move forward, keep going, don't stop, and just kind of try something. Right, like just the act of doing a thing is so much better than not. Doing it at all. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be perfect, just have to do it.
Yeah. So, what's been the best response you've ever gotten from a painting that someone bought from you? Best fan letter, best response after the fact?
There's one that sticks out, which is a photographer who was in my studio taking pictures for me, who was not super into art at all, but I had taken a canvas and spun it around, and she was going to photograph me with it. And she looked at it and she went, oh my gosh, that's me. And then just started crying. And not all my paintings make people cry, but I know that, like music makes you cry or
Yeah.
builds up something emotionally. I think people responding emotionally in the moment to me is the best love letter that I could possibly get. To see them connect to something that they didn't even know was possible is like the best, the absolute best.
Yeah, I've been doing visual arts for a while. That's the logo I did there. And I've always thought giving paintings, selling paintings, however you do it, is a lifelong commitment because people want that for the rest of their lives.
Mhm.
Clothing can be temporal. You eat a meal and it's done. There's things that are just very temporal about non-necessities, and art is not a necessity, but it's definitely good for everyone to have in their lives. So when
Mhm.
people make that commitment, they want it forever, and there's something really cool about that.
Totally. Yeah. It becomes a part of them. I think in the same way that we connect to music or a song, we're like,
Yeah.
oh, this song, I love it so much. It's like, I don't know what it is about this painting or this picture or what is it, but it speaks to me and I just need to have it. That's
Yeah.
really beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool. So Heather, if you had a dream tonight and you ran to a much younger version of yourself, say in your early 20s, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained so far, what advice would you give your young self?
Oh my gosh. I love this. I think that I would probably sit her down and say, um, trust yourself and feel your way into things. I think for a long time I have felt things, in a gut or as a feeling of you should do this or oh you shouldn't do this or here's why. And I think my younger self and even sometimes my adult self really wants to be accepted by everybody and really wants to be loved by everybody and not everybody's going to shelter under your tree. And I think the younger version of me made decisions based on that acceptance factor instead of what felt good to me. So I
Yeah.
would say, you know, listen to how you feel and really trust that and go in the direction that feels best to you, not what you think other people want you to do.
Yeah. So in the history of artists, who would be the one artist you would love to like walk in their studio and witness them create something?
Oh, I think Helen Frankenthaler. Um, when I see her work, there's something so vast about it and in the way that she would name pieces, these long names like man stepping out of a pond on a winter's day or something. I just
Yeah.
feel like I would have loved to be a part of that creative process just to see how did you choose that line, how did
Yeah.
you make that splat, like how did you get to that big piece, and then how did you feel your way into that title. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Plus she was like a leading abstract artist back in a time when women artists weren't really recognized for their work as much as their more famous partners were.
You know, we have a gallery here that I go to. Like you were saying, there's a gallery you go to when you want to just kind of breathe and get ideas. There's a modern art gallery called the Kemper Museum of Art, and they always have installments to go through. And I remember her now because there were titles on there where I was like, what? And then it was like it was modern art. It was cool.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I need to
Um,
visit where you live. It sounds like a really cool place.
you know, if you historically people don't think Kansas City is one of those places that's a real creative hub. I mean, we got the Mahomes and all of those things going on, but it really is historically has become kind of an arts hub. So yeah, it's a great place. There's great
That's
places here.
awesome. Love
Yeah.
that.
So let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, people that get your paintings, but you ultimately run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I am a deeply spiritual, kind-hearted person who just wants to do good in the world, um, in whatever way I can.
So what's your preferred medium? What do you like? Do you like acrylics, oils, watercolor?
Definitely acrylics. I like to work with gold leaf, but gold leaf is finicky,
Yeah.
and pastels sometimes. But I'm kind of digging into heavy texture too, and kind of playing around with adding that to the canvas to see what happens. That's been really fun.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny, I didn't do watercolor for a long time, but the way that all of that kind of you got to be really patient with it because you don't have control.
Right?
So letting it kind of bleed out and blend how it does is pretty interesting as well. So
Yeah, I
um
love that.
so if anyone wants to get your paintings, learn more about you, reach out, how do they do that?
I'm on Instagram at Heather Eck Artist, and you can check out my website at heathereckstudios.com.
Okay. Heather, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was really nice to connect with you. I'm so happy to have met you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye
See you
bye.
later. Bye bye.